The FIA GT Nations Cup is an all-new event. It's being run here in Bahrain for the first time as part of the Bahrain GT Festival. It's for the nations, it's for bronze and silver graded drivers. GT3 machinery for everybody, and some fascinating combinations of drivers, teams and cars all set to do battle on this 5-kilometre long circuit. Belgium is a potential winner this weekend. Charles Weerts sharing his Audi with racing returnee Mike Dentant.
Racing for Belgium and WVRT, which is definitely one of the best GT teams in the world, was a great opportunity for me, and I immediately say yes when Vincent wrote me.
Mexico is one of the many nations running a Ferrari 488 GT3. And Martin Fuentes, the Mexican driver, racing here for the first time in spectacular fashion.
Very new grounds for us. Well, this circuit, of course, knowing Bahrain from Formula One racing, of course, it's a very good venue to come. And we saw that we had a chance to come and compete against the best silver and bronze drivers in the world, and here we are.
What about Argentina? This another very strong combination of drivers. Ezequiel Perez Companc and his cousin, Jose Manuel Balbiani, are the two drivers, and Ezequiel knows the Lamborghini Huracan very well.
Yeah, nobody knows, but actually my teammate is my cousin, so it's going to be our first race together, so it's really special for us, especially like representing Argentina in this amazing race. So yeah, it's going to be a really good weekend for us for sure.
Hong Kong is represented by the Nissan GTR and by Alex Au, co-driver Andy Yan.
I'm honored to be driving at the first ever FIA GT Nations Cup. And this is the first time I drive the car with my country flag. So I'm honored and passionate to drive the car.
Representing Thailand, Pasin Lathoris and Piti Bhirombhakdi. Both have lots of European racing experience and are hoping to put that to good effect here this weekend in Bahrain.
This is something new for the GT3 event, and I think the idea is great. And for the gentleman driver and for the silver driver can be pairing up for your own nation is something that you can be proud of.
ACA ASP run Mercedes have enjoyed a really strong season in international GT racing. The team could have another strong result here. Representing France, it operates the car of Gilles Plat and Jean-Luc Beaubelic.
We raced together this year in GT4 with ACA ASP. We finished vice champion, so it was a really good year. And Jean-Luc did also the GT3 Blancpain endurance. So we know the car, and yeah, we are together here to represent the France, and we are really happy to be here with all this country.
Sweden is another potential winning team this weekend. Alexander West having done many a mile in Blancpain GT racing. He's partnered by Victor Bouveng.
Well, when I first heard about it, I thought it was a kind of a cool, different concept. Instead of having a full racing series, you have a one-off weekend, and you get to represent your country for a change. So it's a nice place to be away over the winter months, and I think with 19-20 cars, I think it's been a pretty good lineup, so it's going to be an exciting weekend.
And no GT grid would be complete without Porsche. The ever-improving Hebef Motorsport squad operates two cars, one for Australia and one for China, where China GT frontrunner Li Chao shares driving duties with Leo Yi, Chris van der Drift on driver coaching duties.
It's very special because to represent my country is very proud to be here. And me and my teammate Leo, I think we will do our best, to try to get a good result.
The FIA GT Nations Cup here in Bahrain, being run for the first time, is about to get underway for the main race. This will determine who wins the Nations Cup. The points scored in the two qualifying races purely to determine the grid. From here on in, it's first past the flag to determine which is going to be the winning nation. The cars released under the floodlights here at the Bahrain International Circuit. You see the Turkey entry, the Mercedes, making its way round onto the grid. And for the first running, the 18 nations then are all after this coveted trophy that stands at the front of the grid. And Bahrain welcoming back the GT category after many years away. The FIA GT Nations Cup for the first time is being run, and already plans to head to Europe to Vallelunga for next season. But right now, the drivers have a new challenge to bear in mind from the earlier qualifying race, and that is cooler temperatures, plus also the fact that they're now racing in the darkness. Now, admittedly, the floodlights are so good, you barely realise that you're racing quite late in the day and that it's dark away from the circuit precinct. These floodlights are incredibly powerful indeed, but the cooler temperatures certainly are going to affect tyre preservation. And tyres has been a talking point across the weekend. The Nations Cup medals you saw at the front of the grid a moment ago, and in around about, what, an hour and a half time or so, we will have the definitive answer as to who is going to win what. On the front of the grid, Turkey starting on pole position with the UK alongside, and Chris Froggatt is going to be the first driver in that Ferrari. Now, this is David Addison with John Watson trackside, and down on the grid is Bruce Jones, and he has headed to pole position. Turkey is going to be the nation on pole position. And Ayhan Güven is standing on the grid with Bruce ready to have a word.
Ayhan Güven, there is no car behind you, but this is it. This is when it gets serious. This is the final, the FIA GT Nations Cup.
Yeah, until now we make a really good job, and now we are in the pole position for the final race, which is really important. Yeah, fingers crossed. The Saudis start the race, so then I finish, and we will see. We both try to our best. Until now we make a good job, as I say, and hope we can finish how it's come and we can win it. But there is a really good teams. There is really good really good level of the racing. I personally really enjoyed the racing there, and now I'm also proud to be in the pole for the final race and try best. There is nothing to lose more, so we will see.
And in GT3 racing, as your Mercedes arrives, it's a fantastic mixture of cars. Mercedes on pole, Ferrari alongside, Lamborghini, Audi. It's so competitive.
Yeah, also it shows us how the BOP things work here. So for me, it's the first time I race in like different manufacturers. Normally I'm cup driver, so now it's nice to see the BOP works well. And when I drive, also I can feel there is some part of my car is better and some part there is not. So it's nice. It's all games. You can win somewhere, you can lose somewhere, and yeah, we will see.
But also, just looking at your car, you must love the way it looks in the Turkish livery.
Yeah, you know, our flag color is red, so it's also really fits with the Mercedes AMG. So yeah, it's the car was good, the track was good, everything is fine. So it's just time to race. Yeah.
Enjoy the next hour.
Ayhan Güven will go second. Salih Yoluk will start in the Turkey entry, the Mercedes, run by the British Ram Racing team, Dan Shufflebottom's team. Now, sixth on the grid is the car that won the first qualifying race, Belgium, the Audi of Mike Dentant and Charles Verde. It had a puncture in the second qualifying race, but sixth on the grid, John, keeps it in the mix, and two quick drivers aboard.
Absolutely, and that the key is going to be consistency and making sure you make your marks when you make your pit stop. So even though you're back on the third row of the grid, it's not ideal. Be on the front row is where you want to be. Nevertheless, into turn one, we've seen what happened, 24 hours ago last evening when everybody piled into turn one and there was one little error and that set off a chain reaction. So even if you're at the front of the grid, you can still get sort of caught up in somebody else's misjudgment.
Jose Manuel Balbiani representing Argentina, starting third on the grid and alongside the Ferrari. That's the German team car. Alexander Matschult's going to go first in that. But we've heard from one side of the front row of the grid. Let's go to the other side of the front row. Join Chris Buncombe and Chris Froggatt with Bruce Jones.
Chris Froggatt, who will be starting for Team United Kingdom, and Chris Buncombe. This is when it really, really gets serious. And the best thing is the view down to turn one. There's no one ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're thrilled with the position we have to start the race. I'm going to do the first stint and hand the car over to Chris. We'll see how things go.
Now, of course, when you hand the car over to Chris, he'd quite like some tyre life. How good are you at that now?
Yeah, I think I can manage the tyres in a reasonable way to let Chris not have too tough a time.
Okay, well, best of luck on the charge to the first corner. I know it was quite tricky first time round. Chris Buncombe, quickly your thoughts.
Well, hopefully Chris can get the lead from lap one and make my life a little bit easier. But I mean, there's a lot of tough competition out there, so we'll see what happens.
Well, conditions seem perfect. Go for it, gentlemen.
So Team UK, the Sky Colours carried on Chris Froggatt's Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli winning car this year, incidentally.
Interestingly, as a consequence of the performances that Chris Buncombe in particular has delivered for the UK team, suddenly he has become, oh, Chris, have you any plans for next year? Yeah. Would you be interested? And of course his brother Alex is here, in a support role, and he's seeing his younger brother, or his older brother, I should say, older brother, being, oh, would you drive for us? And, you know, it's very easy to feel suddenly left out.
But he's a bronze driver, and a quick bronze is a very good thing. I hesitate to say he's
ain't going to be bronze for very long.
Well, no, he's already a Le Mans class winner, of course, going back over a decade. But a quick bronze driver is a very good asset for a team to have. No wonder he's in demand. That's Alexander Matschel. He is going to go first for Germany, and that's the car that lines up fourth on the grid, the Ferrari, run by Rinaldi Racing. And the car that's alongside is that of Argentina, and to do the second stint in that car, Ezequiel Perez Companc. He is on the grid with Bruce Jones.
Ezequiel Perez Companc, the FIA GT Nations Cup. It's about the nations. The cars look brilliant. Your Argentinian Lamborghini starting third. Can you do it with your cousin, no less, Jose Manuel Balbiani?
Well, I have to say we are fighters, so we will fight until the last lap, for sure, until we cross the finish line. I think we have a good car. We had not new tires in the second race, so I think our pace can be even better. So we just need to survive the first corner, that I think has been a bit of a chaos in the first two races. But if we manage to be there, I think, yeah, we can do the job. We can do the job.
Now, do you think other teams also kept back their best tires to the end?
Well, I know many teams used also new tires on the second race. For example, the Rinaldi cars, because they were not in FP1. So, yeah, I think we can arrive on the podium, will be great. And if not, we will fight for it. I assure you of that.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Ezequiel. Best of luck.
What we've seen from Ezequiel Perez Companc this weekend, this season, leaves you in no doubt that he's a fighter.
Well, just watching him on track here this weekend, certainly his level of authority and skill has built over the previous 2 years, and he is a hard racer. I mean, what he's saying to us there, he will enact every minute behind the wheel of that Lamborghini for Argentina.
That's Rinat Salikov, who will go first for Russia, starting fifth on the grid. Denis Bulatov standing alongside. Alexander Matschel, we saw a moment ago. Let's hear from the German driver, because Bruce Jones has scurried across to grab a word with him.
Alexander Matschel, how are you feeling starting fourth on the grid for Team Germany on a cooler night?
It's a cooler night. It's a great race. We're moving slowly forward. So when we started yesterday and on P12, I think P4 now is a great result already. Well, let's see where we're finishing and where we're coming out.
But your impressions of this GT Nations Cup here at Bahrain, it seems a great invention.
Yeah, it's a great race. I mean, you're racing in the night with the daylight, and it's a great experience with nice temperature, no freezing, no rain. So I like it here.
Best of luck. Thank you, Alexander. Go well.
Thank you. Alexander Matschel, who's raced in Europe and also in Blancpain GT Series Asia this year. Now, there is Italy. Next year's venue has been announced as being Vallelonga. It would be quite fitting, wouldn't it, if Italy went there as the holders of the FIA GT Nations Cup. And it's Pier Giuseppe Perezzini who there is going to start. Matteo Crestoni will do the second stint. They had dramas in the second race. We never quite got to the bottom of why the Italian car retired late race, but starting as they do for this on the fifth row, there is work to be done. However, you can anticipate that's a car that will gain some ground. So although the Turkey entry, John, looked very, very strong, there are others behind that could certainly have something to say about this.
Unquestionably there are, but right now what Turkey has done over the course of the weekend been very impressive, and if they get the advantage into turn one, hard to pass.
Indeed so. Now, we saw a moment ago the Russia entry, and the second stint will be done by Denis Bulatov, who is with Bruce.
Denis Bulatov, Team Russia's entry goes from the middle of the grid, closer to the front, close to the front. You're starting fifth with Rinat Salikov at the wheel. Can you get to the podium?
Well, of course we want to do it. We'll try our best, but there are a lot of tough cars also among us, like Belgium, France. It will be not easy, but race is an unpredictable thing, so anything can happen. We just want to stay calm and do the best we can.
Just talk me, Denis, talk me through the first two corners. They're very, very tight and can be competitive down there.
Yeah, actually, I think the first two races was both in crash, actually. And it's very tight there and very slippery, so just to survive them, it's also a big deal, actually. So, important one.
Cross the fingers. Thank you, Denis.
Thank you.
Denis Bulatov will do the second stint. He's up to Rinat Salikov there. He is strapped into the car to do the hard yards. And the other team we look forward to hearing from is Belgium, which will be 6th on the grid, and a win in the first qualifying race for Mike Dentant and Charles Vert, but a puncture in the second race cost them dear. This is how spectacular the Bahrain circuit looks. If you're only familiar with seeing it in the daylight for a Grand Prix, for example, it's a completely different feel now with the lights on.
And what the lights are doing to me is actually showing us the amount of elevation change that they're actually, I mean, most people at face value would tell, oh, it's just a flat circuit in the desert. Well, it's not a flat circuit in the desert, it's a circuit which has got inclines and declines, and in fact, coming out of turn 13 all the way down to 14, there's quite a roller coaster all the way down there. We're just looking at it in that long view shot.
Indeed so, that's turn 13 into 14, and then onto this long, fast pit straight. There's the grid all formed, and the Belgian team 6th on the grid we were just talking about. We better go and hear from the drivers, because Charles Vert will do the second stint. He's with Bruce.
Charles Vert, we had victory for Belgium in the opening race. You're starting from 6th here. Can you get the Audi to the front again?
Well, I think my team did a great job during all the weekends, so for sure we have something that we can do great things with it. After, the race, the goal is not to end it at the end of the first corner like we had in race 2. Unfortunately, we are not. People are doing sometimes strange things, but the goal is obviously to be P1 at the end of the race.
Now, just tell me, you're a very young racing driver, but you're representing Belgium, representing your nation. How special is that?
Yeah, of course, I'm really proud to be able to represent my nation. As I'm trying to do it the best as I can. And so far, so good, I would say. Let's see how it goes for the main race.
You made a big splash. Let's see if we can see you up on the podium.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Charles Vert, who's the UAE Formula 4 champion and a Formula 4 racer of success in Europe, both in the German and Italian championships, will take over from Mike Dentant, who's been away from racing for well over a decade. The money ran out, and Mike has had a couple of domestic outings just to get his licence back up to scratch. But again, he could be an in-demand driver, because all of a sudden, oh yes, right, who are you? You're quick. We'd forgotten all about you, but you're bronze. Come and race for us.
Well, I think as Jerome Policon said, look, you're looking at some of the talent, both on GT4 and GT3, that will be the future stars in the world of GT racing. So, these young guys are coming through. They've got natural pace, their speed, they've got maturity. And listening to Charles Vert, a very mature and balanced young man.
Agreed. So the Bahraini dignitaries on the grid and getting ready for blast off here. Stefan Rattel of SRO. It's an FIA event, but SRO the promoter, and Stefan Rattel and Sophie Perrin and the rest of the team have worked incredibly hard to bring together this 18-strong grid, and of course the GT4 International Cup and the 2 historic races. It's been a real GT festival this weekend. But this, the last race of the weekend, is the race of the weekend. The FIA GT Nations Cup. The countdown continues, and we are a little around 10 minutes or so now away from getting the race underway.
And everybody's sitting on the grid cars already. Stefan Rattel, the man who is responsible for the growth of GT racing on a global basis, and it's continuing to grow. Another one for the album.
Yep,
absolutely.
Exactly.
But just the length of time the cars are sitting on the grid, they will probably have, I think they will have 2 laps behind the pace car before it peels off and this race gets underway. As we saw last night, the cars sitting for a long time on the grid. Tyre temperatures, to a lesser degree, the tyre pressures will cool off. And everybody, Charles Vert alluded to it, you've got to think ahead when you come into turn 1, because the cars leading into turn 1 will brake marginally earlier than they would do even on a racing lap. And everybody behind's got to anticipate that and not think they can win the race into turn 1.
A little bit of confusion on the grid, incidentally. The last couple of rows have lined up out of sequence. There is Jean-Luc Bobelic, who will represent France in the first stint, and Jim Pla, you can tell off his overalls, will go second. I like the way they've got the sort of football shirt type overalls with the number and the nationality on the back as well, and the name. There is Jean-Luc Bobelic.
What I like about Jean-Luc Bobelic, he wears a pair of overalls without a centre strap. Yes. So it emphasises his slightly more mature stature.
Indeed so. Let's hear Mexico's chances. Martin Fuentes is with Bruce Jones.
Martin, so now we have the serious elements of the FIA GT Nations Cup. Mexico's cars looking fantastic near the front end of the grid. How much can you advance?
Well, actually, this last couple of positions that we advance right now, the confusion, it was awesome, right? We're actually waiting to this beginning of the race. We're excited. This was a hard weekend for us, and we're looking forward to putting the car in the top positions of this FIA GT Nations Cup.
Now, of course, you came here to do as well as you can, but also to have fun. Has that worked in your favour?
Yeah, it's been stressful. It's been a stressful weekend due to the car, the lack of the car that it's still in Mexico, but this car it's performing well, so we're going to look forward for a good finale.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yes, Mexico, we haven't really touched on, John, was another nation that struggled to get the car here, so it's a borrowed car. It's a bit lastminute.com, but it has worked for them.
Yes, I mean, remember, these GT3 cars are basically turnkey racing cars, so if your own car hasn't arrived, there will be an identical car somewhere that you can slot into place. And it only comes down to the individual preferential likes or dislikes, and you can make those adjustments pretty quickly. It's not like a very complicated, Grand Prix car, which is absolutely beyond the mind of reason of man. And turnkey, buy it, drive it, win.
Absolutely right. So the race director, Oliver Grodowski, tells the teams on the timing screen all cars must have lights on. That is now happening all around the circuit. The floodlights shine down on the FIA GT Nations Cup, and for a first time running this event, it has been quite a weekend.
I think it's just got better and better as the weekends progressed. Looking down on the Team United Kingdom, Ferrari in the front row of the grid, and that's in with a very good chance indeed. Chris Froggatt, of course, will feel the pressure of being in the front row of the grid. He knows that the Turkey Mercedes will be sharp off the grid, and there's a lot of tight competition directly behind that front row of the grid. So prudence, maybe, for Froggatt might be the optimum thought. I mean, if you have to give up a position, it's better to do that than to maybe think I'm going to maintain my ground and suffer the consequences.
Another car to keep an eye to from a little bit further back is going to be the Hong Kong Nissan GTR. Alex Au going first, because we know that car is very quick in a straight line, and also Denmark, which didn't finish a lap in the first race, didn't even get out of turn one. Johnny Lawson will go first. That's been a quick car in the hands of Nicholas Nielsen, but Turkey has just looked so strong. Both drivers have been quick, error-free, pit stops good, car reliable. They really are in the box seat.
They've ticked all the boxes, and in fact the differential in performance between the two drivers has not been very large, so they have in effect got at the ideal team. They've got two drivers pretty much equally matched. The actual operation of the car and the team has been absolutely flawless, and the drivers in their turn have delivered when they've been behind the wheel.
So the countdown continuing here, and very shortly the 3-minute board will be shown. There is the Danish Ferrari, Johnny Lawson to go first. Nicholas Nielsen is the quicker driver, and again, in most cases, pretty much all cases, you're having your quicker driver in for the second stint, because they can make a difference if there is a late race safety car and everybody bunches up. But Denmark, after a tough start to the weekend, a lot of damage, the car repaired, and Johnny Lawson, who began in Formula Renault back in 2003, racing all sorts of single-seater categories, including Euroboss in a Ascari, the reworked Benetton Grand Prix car. So he's not without experience of big, powerful cars. Winner of the Ferrari Challenge in Europe, Johnny Lawson, 2 seasons ago. Winner of the Ferrari World Final in 2017 as well. So he's a quick guy there. Number 69, that's going to be started by Zen Low. That's the Malaysian Audi. Overseeing this team, ex-Grand Prix driver Alex Young.
There's Alex here, and of course an illustrious career for the Malaysian driver, a major celebrity, sports celebrity back in his home country of Malaysia. So he's now taken over a role of looking after the interests of his team, and also involved in a considerable amount of broadcast work.
And also a member of the British Racing Drivers Club. As the field now release, the green lights come on. The green flag is waved, and so now the FIA GT Nations Cup, the decider, the main race, gets ready as we do this final tyre warming lap behind the pace car, and 2 formation laps just confirmed on the timing screen, as has been the norm over the course of this weekend. The second one will count within the hour, so the clock starts at the end of this lap. They get 1 more just to get the tyres fully up to temperature and to give the in this case, AM drivers, a little bit more confidence perhaps on the rubber before they are unleashed, especially given the speed you're arriving at this first corner at.
And of course, when the track goes green, there's still a considerable run down into turn 1, so everybody's building up speed up to maybe 220 or so kilometers per hour, and then there's the big stop, and those at the front will be stopping. I think I mentioned this earlier, probably slightly more conservatively than they might do even in a flying lap, but it's those that are behind who are still pedal to the metal, thinking they're going to win the race in turn 1, and then you get this enormous motorway concertina effect, and people avoiding action, coming back onto the track. Sometimes that in itself is the cause of an issue. So just again, everyone knows what can happen, yet when the light goes out, familiar old red mist comes down. Even at night time, it's still as bright red as it is in daytime. Just hope, really do hope, that all those competitors, particularly those who've worked very hard to get to the front of the grid for this final, will manage to win. Whoever wins, win by competence and by skill and expertise, and not by maybe default because through some incident or accident that takes out a potential winning car.
Go along with that, certainly. So the second formation lap is the one at which the cars, when they come to the end, will get themselves in the 2x2 formation there for Mexico. Ricardo Perez de Lara, and 8th on the grid. He will stop, freak his way to Martin Fuentes, from whom we heard a little earlier. There is Jean-Luc Bobelic, who rather undid Jim Plough's good work in the earlier race by spinning early in his stint in qualifying race 2. For Italy, the car going strongly, one hopes. Giuseppe Perezzini at the wheel. For Sweden, Alexander West sharing with Victor Bourdin in the McLaren. That car's had a few skirmishes with damage in Q race 1 and a spin in qualifying race 2. This is the view out of the front of the McLaren, going down towards turn 14, and there's another formation. Remember, there's the Belgian Audi. You'll be seeing a lot of that car, I'm sure, in the early laps as it carves its way up to the third row.
Yeah, I mean, even though you're back in the third row, there'll be 5 other cars ahead of you that you've got to make your way through. They're not going to give you any easy passes. So, and again, those that are behind the Belgian car will be thinking, we'll pick him off early. That's one more we don't have to worry about. So a lot will be going on in the minds of all 18 competitors as they now go on to the second formation lap, as the cars make their way into the third sector of this 3.3 mile, 5.4 kilometer circuit. The safety car will then begin to accelerate, and the control of the race will be in that hands of Salih Yoluk in the team Turkey Mercedes, and it's up to him to how this race will then finally start as they come down 2 by 2 and wait for the lights to go out.
I reckon the one to watch off the start is going to be Balbiani for Argentina, because we know that he's a fighter. This is the grid. Salih Yoluk starting on pole position for Turkey. For the UK, alongside Chris Froggett. Row 2 for Argentina, Jose Manuel Balbiani. For Germany, Alexander Matschel. On the third row, Rinat Salikov goes first for Russia, and alongside him in the Belgian Audi, Mike Dentant. For France on row 4, there's Jean-Luc Bobelic, and for Mexico, it is Ricardo Perez de Lara. Then for Italy on row 5, Giuseppe Perezzini. For China, Li Chao will go first ahead of the Swedish entry, Alexander West. And for Australia, it's Dad, Stephen Grove, before he hands over to son Brenton. He will go first. For Hong Kong, Alex Au is on row 7. For Belarus, it is Alexander Tulkenitsa Senior. For Denmark, Johnny Lawson steps forward. And for Thailand, Piti Birambakti. And then the back row in the Malaysia entry, it is Zen Lo, and Ken Sito will go first for Japan in the white Ferrari. 18 nations set to do battle here, and that is looking down onto turns 9 and 10. It is a spectacular venue, and let's hope we are in for a spectacular race for the first ever FIA GT Nations Cup. Pirelli tyres for everybody, GT3 machinery for everybody, and with either 2 bronze or a bronze and a silver in every case. There are no extra categories to worry about. It is just everybody go for glory and win in this Nations Cup. And bronze, silver or gold medals are at stake. This is the view from number 910, the Porsche of Li Chao, who drives this car in China GT. Great livery that, with the Tiger and Dragon fight. But now the cars get themselves ready for the rolling start, because as they come down towards turn 14, they get themselves into this side-by-side formation. In race control, there might be 1 or 2 nervous thoughts about what happens at turn 1. There may well be some worried faces up and down the pit lane as well, because getting through turn 1 without damage is going to be key, really, to your chances in this race as we get set to go racing. We've had one lap, the hour has already started, but now we're going to go racing proper. This is the main race in the first ever FIA GT Nations Cup. The cars accelerate their way up towards the light that change now. The race underway. Who's going to make the best start on the run down towards turn one? Good start by Germany on the outside. It's Turkey with the advantage on the inside line. The UK absolutely dead set alongside into the braking zone.
Oh,
and drama, that's
Belgium.
Belgium off the road. And the car's going to come across the circuit. They are just going to miss him. But major drama for Mike Dentant. There is drama in the back because there's bodywork, there's a damaged Porsche. That car's going nowhere because there's broken suspension. I think that is China that has come to grief. Here are the leaders up the inside, Balbiani. It's Turkey in the lead though. Turkey leads the UK. Who's going to be third at turn 4? It's Argentina. Russia up the inside fourth. Germany fifth. Wow, what a start.
Well, somebody tagged the back of the Belgium Audi massively coming down, probably early into the braking zone. Somebody hit probably on full throttle. The Audi was like a snooker ball being punched up the table across the green baize. There is the Porsche damage. That was a car that got caught incidentally. Oh, Argentina, I mean, that is just ridiculous. There was no way the Germany Ferrari was sitting right on the bit of the racetrack. But
okay,
dear me.
So we've lost Australia, not China. Apologies. There's now damage Argentina and Germany. I'm waiting to see whether they can survive. No, safety car's going to be deployed. Safety car deployed, and that is the end of Belgium's chances. Damage, and in the gravel, and Argentina again in strife. Balbiani has been turned around, or he's turned himself around, but either way, that car is not going in the right direction.
No, it's not. Balbiani on this opening lap was absolutely manic. It was manic coming into turn 8, and then on the exit of turn 10, got the car rotated. I mean, it had to be a safety car intervention because there's cars that need to be removed to safety at turn 1. And I mean, where did common sense go?
Well, indeed, a good question. And the trouble is that, you know, teams have worked so hard all weekend to get to this stage. The chances. Oh, Belarus! Now look at that damage.
Well, that we didn't see that. That actually went off. Look at the barrier on the right-hand side of the picture. You can see that car's gone in there backwards big time. Now the barrier has been damaged. Hopefully the barrier will be secure, because we don't have to see a delay. Then in this race, on the barrier would be, those bits of barrier would be replaced.
So all the incident we were looking at to the left, but that happened coming into the corner.
I thought I saw a car, but then I saw the safety, one of the track cars coming along. I thought maybe that was I think it was a black Mercedes or something. So there were 3 cars, but real severe damage. But it was the shock of seeing the Belgian car being punted. You know, I mean, at speed, the Audi was on the brakes. Whatever hit him was still flat out.
Yeah, my fear was that the car's pace was going to meet the rest of the pack as it came across the road. Thankfully that was avoided, but the Belarusian car has got huge damage. So that's Alexander Talkanitsa Senior out of the race. That is Ezequiel Perez compact for Argentina, who's not overjoyed about what's happened to cousin Jose Manuel on this opening lap of the race. There is Jose Manuel Balbiani, so the Argentine entry has got well and truly roughed up. Right, John, talk us through the mayhem.
Well, we're looking at the start. There's the Audi in the third row of the grid, in the middle of the pack. Watch, because somebody comes up from behind. Is it the Ferrari? One of the Ferraris in the Russia or Germany car comes across.
It was a pinch. He didn't get hit from behind.
No, he got pinched. But once he got pinched, it's as if all the rear wheels almost left the ground, and the car managed. Fortunately, didn't hit the barrier, but skipped across on the bits of the bodywork flying everywhere. Spin. But then, at this second point, watch what happens on board. This is the China Porsche. So where is the Belarus Ferrari? It's all behind. So we're just seeing, there is the Audi going off to the left. The Hong Kong Nissan slips ahead. So that's all. But there is the view. Scary moment for everybody in the pack. But that maybe just been a few seconds later, that could have been much more serious than the already serious incident we have. This is Mexico we're riding with now.
Yeah, and again, they're ahead. Incidentally, the Swedish entry has just come into the pit lane, so that's picked up some damage somewhere. Now, have a look at the Belgian Audi, because as we go racing, it gets in the middle of 3 cars, and there's a squeeze and a rough and a bump, and then there's the contact, but out of that, the Audi is just speared across the road. Look top right, didn't come across the circuit. There it is.
I don't think it was the Mexico car that made the contact. It was, I think, either the Russian or the German. I think it was that Ferrari just gone through now. That was the car, I think, that had the contact with the Audi. The contact came from going down the track from the right-hand side. And
Germany's hopes dented as well. That's the end of Argentina for the moment because it got involved with France, yeah. At the corner before it got involved, Argentina's Lamborghini with the German Ferrari. So Alexander Matschel limping back to the pit lane. And Balbiani losing all time. So that's Alexander West out of the race. So the McLaren is in the garage. So I'm afraid that there's been an awful lot going on in the first corner. The incident is going to be investigated after the race. And there is Mike Dentan's Audi. The good news is that he is okay. The car is being craned out of the way. But with that squeeze that went on, Mike Dentant in the middle of the cars. Right, it was a slow start. We had that in an earlier race out of the Belgian car, and that sort of put it in jeopardy. But getting involved with Russia on one side and Mexico on the other. Here it comes again. So, and have a look at the very back and see if we can piece together what happened to the Belarusian car. Look towards the outside of the circuit. So ignore the Audi for a moment. Look to the outside. Look to the outside. Look to the outside. And there, look.
Just suddenly turns left.
Yeah.
As if he stepped on the brakes and turned the wheel. And that's the much heavier impact of all that we've seen. The Porsche there you can see coming to a standstill, parts of the bodywork lying at the edge of the racetrack.
There's Mike Dentant. He was very lucky, as were everybody else, not to be collected by that car. In a moment you'll see there the Belarusian Ferrari has had its accident. That limps into the on the very outside. And Stephen Grove with broken suspension. Apologies, I called it wrong. I think it was China at the time. It is the Australia entry that's come to grief out of the race. And then there was more mayhem at turn 8 involving the German and Argentine entries, and then more mayhem at turn 10 with, of course, Argentina. Now they're being told to go through a shortcut so he doesn't go across the debris. Excellent marshalling that is Jose Manuel Balbiani for Argentina. So being allowed to use that shortcut while the circuit is being cleaned.
It's going to take a considerable amount of time to get the racetrack back, certainly at least another, I would imagine, 10 minutes.
Now this plays into the hands of the UK as an example, because while we've got a lengthy safety car period, Chris Froggatt has less opportunity to lose time against Salah Yolok, who we know is very quick in that Mercedes. It also, for example, helps Russia. So here, in most cases, you've got your slower driver in the car, and these laps, although they count within the duration, by dint of not being a proper race pace, mean that you're not losing much time.
And also, because we're behind the safety car for an indeterminate amount of time, this new set of tyres that pretty much everybody in the field had kept back for the final are not being overstretched either.
Right, now this is China. So this car, remember, started behind Mexico. I still think there was contact between Mexico and Belgium. We felt it from on board. Have a look, have a look, have a look.
No.
There it is,
yes,
there's the contact.
Yes, you're right.
And off goes the Audi.
You're right, it was. I thought it was one of the Ronaldo cars, but it was in fact the Mexico car that contact occurred. But it didn't look a heavy contact, but was sufficient to just destabilise the Audi to such an extent that it was Hoffman there, another Ferrari.
That is Mexico.
Oh, that's limping at best.
And that's live because the car came across the line in 4th place. So Mexico's got a punctured tyre, a legacy of the incident 4 laps in.
Yes, it's the right rear that's gone down. So it was left front on the Audi, right rear on the, and that's not going to make it back without doing a significant amount of damage, both to the diffuser at the rear of the car, but also just hopefully no damage to the suspension, the inner guard, as the remains of the Pirelli tyre flails around to the top of the circuit.
Exactly.
Down turn 12 into turn 13.
So he's limping back.
Well, he doesn't have any need. He can go back even more slowly because...
Now this is the onboard from Mexico again, and this is up towards the start. So out of turn 14. And again, some cars accelerate and then brake, which you're not really supposed to do. You have to go and keep going.
The Audi, you can see the Audi directly ahead, which is the Belgian Audi. It was off and on the brakes because the Ferrari directly ahead of him was going slowly, so he's ended up being absorbed into the next line back.
So Mexico's alongside and ahead, and then bang, there's the little bit of contact. So that's done a tyre. A slow puncture is gained. The tyre has now gone pop. Where's the Audi? There's the Audi to the left, having had its accident. And more mayhem kicks off behind. Argentina, by the way, is under investigation for all of the assorted incidents on the opening lap.
And that was why we saw Ezequiel Perez Compact looking particularly unhappy, because that car starting on the second row of the grid was going to be a potential podium, a winner. but no longer can contact. What was it hitting the back of the Ferrari up at turn 4? The Team Mexico, you can see the hand going up and saying thanks a bunch for that little bit of expertise.
So we've lost quite a lot, I'm afraid. Mexico limping to the pits with a puncture, Sweden in the pits, Germany out trackside, Belgium out, Australia out, Belarus out. Turkey, UK, Russia, Hong Kong, China, Thailand is the top 6. So just by, and we've talked about it all weekend, keep out of trouble at turn 1, it's going to have such an important part, and again, mayhem has broken out. Right, down the pit lane, limps Mexico. The team from Mexico say, where's the car? And the answer is it's on the way, on the way.
Well, we all know it's easy to be an armchair quarterback in these situations, and it's a totally different scenario when you're behind the cockpit and behind the steering wheel. There is what remains of the rim. You can see how much damage there was on that rim. That'll be in the biffer bin when the team get all their parts back to their... So
they're trying to keep it on the lead lap.
Yes.
Pit lane speed limit, remember. And this is the danger, because there is the safety car. Has it been allowed out? Is it on the lead lap? It's going to be close. It's going to be close.
Lose it.
It's going to lose a lap in the pits, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. No way. So everybody's going to be filtered through this little... He'll have to wait at the end of the pit lane before he can rejoin now. It's the red light. Where's the red light? No, it hasn't been.
He's lost the lap.
What's he going to do? Is he going to pull? He can't just pull into the group of cars, surely.
He's done a good impression of it.
Well, he has done it. I mean, that normally I would have assumed when the safety car line's coming through, there would have been a red flag. That's what normally the procedure would be.
A red light at pit out, yeah. Now, that is for the moment Mexico's story. Let's try and pick up Argentina. So the incident is there. Bang, that was France getting into the back of Argentina. The one, of course, at the previous corner, Argentina and Germany had come to grief. We need to replay that.
I mean, there was no question who was at fault on that one, but certainly there, Argentina could claim that they were clipped from behind, and that was by the France Mercedes-Benz.
Well, another half spin. We'll come back to Argentina and Germany as the Australia Porsche is cradled out of the way. And we've not yet had a full racing lap, have we?
No, but we've had 45 minutes of 15 minutes of action.
Absolutely, yeah. So, bravo to our TV production crew who are filtering through every camera and every onboard to find more replays and more incidents, because there's a lot that's been going on in the space of only half a racing lap.
It was hard to watch anything because you tend to focus on what's happening at the very front, and then all behind is just going AWOL.
Right, safety cars in this lap. Safety cars breed safety cars, you know. Here we go again.
That, David, you keep saying it, but let's hopefully that's what you're going to see. Yeah, I mean that just if the car is there, you can't just turn in and drive a car off the racetrack.
No, and that's done for Germany, damage to the tyres and the suspension. So we've lost Germany in that incident, and their match ends up in the gravel anyway. Right, let's go racing, everybody. Here we go. At the end of lap number 6, Turkey, UK, and Russia is your top 3. Hong Kong is 4th, China is 5th, and Thailand is in 6th place. That's Malaysia. Zhang Lo at the wheel of the car that's in 11th place. And with the lights out atop the safety car, the race director says it is time to go. We're nearly at the pit window, of course. We're only about, 7 minutes away from that opening. So these drivers can press on, but only briefly. And now the race leader for Turkey, Salih Yolak, stacks up everybody behind him. He will come out of turn 14 and floor the throttle. Yellow flags withdrawn, green flags fly, green lights will come on, and we will go racing once more in the FIA GT Nations Cup here in Bahrain, and it is game on once more as Turkey, the UK and Russia, 1, 2, 3, head across the line with half a second between the Turkish and the UK entries down towards turn 1. Heart in mouth, can they all get through safely this time? In 4th place, look, the Nissan of Hong Kong, and the 2 leaders as they get to the braking zone and nose to tail.
Everybody a lot more circumspect as they try to thread their way around turn 10. Fewer cars, 4 fewer cars. In fact, it's 5 fewer cars than we had at the start of this race, but look, the Ferrari managing. How did it manage to do that? Because it almost gets alongside as they come up into turn 4, and that's United Kingdom. Suddenly, whatever, maybe Yolak had a bad exit out of turn 1, but under threat from Chris Froggatt, trying to find a way through. Mercedes ain't going to concede, but look, the grip that the Ferrari has got to goes door handle to door. And was he run wide? I would have thought maybe he was. He's certainly being. That I will think would be something I would want to have a look at, because there was clearly a little bit of gamesmanship from the Turkey Mercedes-Benz, and it's lost that advantage now. Well, it's got it back. Russia looking to go down the inside, so all of a sudden it's Ferrari's 1st and 2nd. and Olaf in the Turkey, the car that was potentially the race winner, down to third place in the space of 3 corners.
So the UK leads the FIA GT Nations Cup main race after all of the dramas coming down through the S's towards turn 8. Russia up to second, Turkey third, Hong Kong is fourth. But whatever has happened to the Mercedes, whether it's tyre pressures or tyre temperatures, it has not got the pace anymore. So it's been caught, it's been passed, it's lost the lead, it's lost second, and it's in jeopardy for third. But now, Olaf, who maybe was just being a bit more cautious on the restart, now tries to fight back against Rinat Salakov there for Russia in second place. But Chris Froggett, great driving to get through into the lead. Remember that a GT3 car is something very, very new to the Ferrari Challenge champion, and he's fought his way into the race lead, and he has now set up Chris Buncombe for the second stint in fine style, because he's getting away while Salakov for Russia defends from Turkey. Italy up the inside there to try and go ahead of Mexico. Remember, the Mexican car is a lap down, so it's getting in the way.
Wow, an opening lap, even though we've lost 5 cars, and a great effort by Chris Froggett. He was being absolutely intimidated by Salionik in the Mercedes coming out of turn 7 down into turn 8, but never flinched, held his ground, got the position, and the consequence was that the Mercedes then lost its second place from maybe being a little bit too strong in trying to regain the advantage that he had from that pole position.
Denmark up the curve. Now there is Chris Froggett then. The UK leads by nearly 2 seconds, and right now the real key opposition is being held at bay by the Russian car. Turkey under attack for third place. Olaf is under real pressure now from Alex Au, who is new to that Nissan, and the Turkish car is just not really getting away. It's not waking up in the way that the others have after the restart.
And that was apparent when they came up to turn 4. The gap, the advantage that the Mercedes had once the racetrack went green, that all evaporated. That allowed Chris Froggett to get into position to then put a challenge. Oh, contact with Italy and Thailand.
So round goes Italy. Pier Giuseppe Perezzini tagged by Thailand. Pitibir Mbakti behind the wheel. Perezzini falls down the order. Not been his day either, has it? Right, the UK getting away unscathed in this race. 87 is under investigation. That is France. Jean-Luc Beaumoulin, possibly for the contact against Argentina on the opening racing lap of the event. Right, there's second and third and fourth. The pressure is going to be on Ayhancan Guven in the second stint now for Turkey to try and gain back the lost ground. This is this great move by Chris Froggett on the outside as he came down now towards turn 7. But look at the way that Turkey leads on him.
Yeah, but look at the amount of grip the Ferrari has got, and the Mercedes is not really letting the Ferrari get back onto track, trying to intimidate, trying to force, and that opens the door for Russia to get up alongside in the exit. And again, it was a very, very aggressive move in my opinion, but well read by Rinat Salakov in the Ferrari for Russia. Gets up alongside on the outside. Watch what he does to the Mercedes-Benz. He doesn't take many prisoners either, as they try to get through turn 9, and then the undercut from the Russian Ferrari down the inside. Olaf sitting there, an absolute, nothing he could do. He's created his own destiny and ends up losing his second place.
France is being given a drive-through penalty for causing a collision, and there Russia just staying ahead of Turkey out of turns 1 and 2. That is China going deep and losing a place to Denmark. Behind is the penalised French car, which has now got Argentina up behind it, and of course they fell out on the opening lap. That is why there is the drive-through. So as we are currently on lap number 9, we've actually had a racing lap, and Chris Froggett has done the fastest lap of the race thus far. The pit window will be open in about 3.5 minutes time, and the battle's on for second. It's Russia versus Turkey. We've now Hong Kong fourth, dropping away a little bit, but look at the lead the UK has got.
Well, I think the reason is Chris Froggett has managed to get the lead, but more important is he's been able to drive his own race. He's turned on the tyres because he can focus on what he needs to do, whereas everyone else behind is having to defend or do something to try and overtake. And they maybe are not getting quite the level of balance and grip that's been enjoyed by the United Kingdom, and it's pulled away 3.7 seconds. And this is only the beginning of the third flying lap since this race went green.
So Chris Froggett, the race leader, 3.7 seconds is that margin, and the battle is on. I reckon that Turkey is coming back at Russia. Yes, now Salihorki is on his toes once again. It'll be intriguing to see if we can find out after this stint where the pace went to. Argentina under attack from China. So there through on the inside line goes Jose Manuel Balbiani, just stepping up through the field. Now that safety car has helped Argentina to bring them back into the game.
Well, I mean, they were one of the most, you're going to say exciting or controversial, depending on your point of view. Start. Let's look again and see what we're looking at.
Thailand on Italy.
Yeah. So that was earlier, the two Ferraris getting together down at turn 8. Turn 8's been a busy corner for incidents. It always is. It's a difficult corner. the track again falls away from you, and you're coming from that sequence of through the S's, and you go back on board with the Thai Ferrari,
which is closing up to the Li Chao Porsche from China. But Chris Froggatt leading the way as this is for second place now. Russia versus Turkey. They were 600ths apart when they came over the line. Russia on the inside, Turkey on the outside line. Rinat Salikov for Russia, Salihyolik for Turkey, and it is going to be Russia that is first into the corner. But then the road will come to Turkey on the inside line for turn 2 into turn 3. It goes back Russia's way, and so the Ferrari fends off the Mercedes. So the cars now up towards turn 4. France is serving its drive through, there it is, but more importantly what's going on for second is that they are side by side at turn 4, and it's just Russia ahead, and Hong Kong, look, is back in the game.
Well, Hong Kong, suddenly again the Nissan has managed to turn those tyres on. It's got balance, it's got grip, it's got performance, and you know, the Mercedes, Turkey cannot relax because it's a Nissan behind me, but obviously it's taken 3 or so laps for the Mercedes to find the composure that we've seen from the car. But look, up the inside, Turkey runs wide. Yeah. Hong Kong slips up the inside. Remember the Nissan, very quick indeed in a straight line. Is he going to force the situation? Will he do the undercut that we saw Germany do, or Russia, I beg your pardon, Russia do some number of laps ago?
Under investigation is Thailand for the contact against Italy. Second, third, fourth, and now fifth altogether. Now look, fifth is Denmark. That car was on the penultimate row of the grid, and despite being involved in a lap 1, turn 1 accident in race 1, suddenly that car is back into the game, and with the quicker co-driver for the second stint, Johnny Lawson and Nicholas Nielsen have got a good chance of being on the podium.
The reason is that the second and third cars are principally holding up the cars that are gathering behind. They're all queuing up behind second place Russia, third place Turkey. Turkey focused on trying to find a way past the Russia Ferrari. So far hasn't found the way to do so, and that's bringing 3 cars that have been running behind that normally would not maybe run at the pace of a lead or a second place car, but they're being invited to join in.
Out of turn 14, we've got 1 more lap for the leaders before the window opens, but the pit window is imminent to open for the back markers, and look, frantic waving from the pit wall there to one of the leading teams' nationalities to say come in at the end of this next lap. So maybe there's a nationality that's got a radio down, and therefore the pit board being brandished to try and encourage the driver to come in, and you've got there all the quicker driver. The pit lane is going to be so busy. As soon as the window opens, get your slower driver out and your quicker driver in, with 8.9 seconds being the advantage now that the UK has. Now in has come Italy, because the pit window is open for these back markers. There's a drive-through penalty being given to Thailand. China is in, Malaysia is in, Italy I'd mentioned, Sweden went back out and has come back in for the regulation stop now.
So, wait and see, 8.9 seconds. Chris Froggatt's done a brilliant job. He's used all the benefits of that brand new set of Pirelli tyres. He's had clear road once he got ahead of the Turkey Mercedes, and he's just driven, and when he hands that car over to Chris Buncombe, he may, in fact, if I was the team, I would keep him out there for as long as necessary, because he's got nobody to challenge him. He's by far and away the quickest race car on the track. The next quickest race car, ironically, is Argentina, Jose Manuel Balbiani, and that's down in 6th place.
I would take issue with that and say you need Froggatt in as quick as you can now, because he's going up against faster drivers. So in real terms, that lead's going to be into, you want Buncombe in the car as soon as.
Possibly you do, but certainly in this period, I would keep him out for 1 more lap, maybe 2 more laps. Wait, the key will be what is the pace of this car and that of the Ferrari, who have yet to make their pit stop. So as long as they stay on track, if they come in before, then you must shadow them immediately.
So it is Rinat Salikov for Russia second, Salihyolik third, fourth still Alex Au doing a good job, fifth Johnny Lawson, up into 6th Argentina, Jose Manuel Balbiani, there's the leader, and 1 more lap will be done by Chris Froggatt. He goes over the timing line now, getting away while these two are still squabbling.
Ferrari's coming in, as is the Mercedes, so now if you're running the UK team, you've got to get on the radio to Chris Froggatt and say in the next lap. So as long as they were staying out, running second and third, I would have kept Froggatt out. Now they've come in, I would bring Froggatt in and get Chris Buncombe behind the wheel.
Because the replacement drivers, the Silvers, in the next stint in these cars will be quicker than Chris Froggatt potentially. So there, Eichen takes over from Salihyolik. Bruce gets a chance to ask Salah where the pace went to. It will be intriguing. They're scurrying round the Argentine car. The mechanics to help in Ezequiel Perez Companc. Thailand's drive-through penalty, I think I mentioned, and this is it. Littibeer on Bahti to serve that and then later give way to Passin Lathoras. Right, we are almost at the halfway point. That's Nicholas Nielsen going for Denmark now. Good stint by Johnny Lawson, bringing the car up into 5th place. So,
has it ever been frantic? 32 minutes remaining. Still another 7 minutes as we speak of this pit lane window being open. I'd expect to see, in my opinion, United Kingdom come in at the end of the lap. So Ezequiel Perez Compact gets behind the wheel of the Argentina. Hopefully it'll be a less frantic drive from Perez Compact than we saw from his cousin, who was absolutely, I mean, fit to be tied.
Yeah, indeed. And yet, with all the dramas and retirements and penalties and safety car, they're still in the mix. Don't rule out Argentina, because you know that Companki's rapid and anything could yet happen. So we're almost at the halfway point. Russia has stayed ahead of Turkey. This is also significant for the UK chances, because it means they're still going to fight and still delay each other.
Well, one theory is, well, let's watch and see. Surely United Kingdom's got to come in this lap as Chris Froggett comes out of turn 14. Is he coming in? No, they're keeping him out. I'm not sure that's the right decision.
There's Chris Buncombe watching on, Alex's brother there, moves forward through the camera shot, but that surprises me that they are keeping him out. I mean, he has just done the absolute best first sector.
You just took the words out of my mouth. His last lap was a 2:03.2, which is not quite the quickest lap of the race, but certainly the fastest first sector on his 12th lap. So there is tons of pace, both from Chris Froggett, from the Ferrari, and from that set of new Pirelli tyres.
There is Hong Kong bailing for what had become 2nd place down the pit lane, Alex out. But now Jim Pla for France has done the absolute best in the first sector. So there you are, that's a second stint driver instantly going quicker than a driver in his first stint, a lower graded driver.
So let's see where France gets. Remember there, that drive-through penalty for Jean-Luc Lababalik, hitting the back of the Argentine car down in turn 10. So their natural pace is being somewhat flawed or coloured by the fact that they had to take that drive-through penalty, currently showing a 12th. That will work its way through once everybody has made their pit stops.
Ready to go in the Hong Kong Nissan. Andy Yan, TCR Asia champion, blasted down the pit lane. And the leading gap at the moment is, in real terms, about 20 seconds. But now we're starting to see cars in their second stint. Onto a first flying lap goes Denis Bulatov for Russia and Ayşen Güven for Turkey. Hong Kong is going to drop behind them, slot back in where it was earlier. So track position is maintained. Russia, Turkey, and what about Denmark? Through, round the outside goes Nicholas Nielsen. That's a change then, so Denmark goes 4th at the expense of Hong Kong. Nicholas Nielsen up into 4th position, so that's one change on the pit stops.
Almost an exchange of paint between the Thai car, or the Hong Kong car and the Dane car, but Ferrari, oh, watch, an aggressive move, switching back to the inside line, and the car, the Mercedes Turkey gets through, but will the Ferrari come back because it'll have a better exit? It's going to be on the inside going through turn 5 and 6.
Bulatov is alongside, but then Turkey defends, and so down towards turn 8, the inside line is covered. Can the Russia entry get the switch back as they come out of the corner? Denmark is closing in as well as they squabble like this, and wide up the curb goes Turkey. To the outside line at turn 9 comes Russia, but again it's the switchback he needs to try and go wide in, and now dive bomb up the inside line, but it's covered.
He's too far back.
Can't do it. So Turkey, Russia, 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th now is Denmark behind. But look at the way that Denis Bulatov is on his toes again to try and retake that 2nd position to the outside line now, down towards turn 11. The inside line is covered by Ayşen Güven for Turkey, and Russia has to slot back in behind for 3rd place.
There was no question coming out of turn 10 that Turkey was going to take the inside line to prevent Russia trying to get up through. So a lot of battling going on for that, what will overall be, we believe, a net 2nd place. Still waiting to see where Chris Buncombe's in the garage alongside his brother. That's him with the helmet on. Where Chris Froggett is, who still has yet to come in with, well, it's got to be, he can't really go more than this lap because he will be running up very close to the pit stop window closing.
So there we have then Chris Froggett for the UK leading the race. Mexico going back into the race. Turkey will be up into 2nd place. I'll give you the gap in a moment as they come across the timing line. So the UK is ahead, and it's 1 minute and 14 seconds, which is an irrelevant gap because there's a pit stop due, but it's 11 tenths between Turkey and Russia, and then half a second back to the Danish car in 4th place. Now that is the leader, and the most important pit stop of the race is coming up to give this man, Chris Buncombe, the the seat behind the wheel of the leading car. They lost time in the pits in qualifying race 2. It's going to be absolutely sweet as now. And bear in mind that Funkin has just done an absolute best in the third sector. Chris Buncombe, as you look into the pit lane, is set to take over the leading car, and he knows that he's got a very quick driver chasing him down.
Yeah, we're seeing purples coming up from different drivers in different sectors of the racetrack. Chris Buncombe will be ready to get in there. We can see the Ferrari peels off.
And he comes.
Make sure you get the car slowed down at the safety car line down to 50 kilometers per hour. There it is. So take the car in, guide it into your garage, and do the best you can in and out and turn the car around.
So there is 93 into the pit lane. That is the UK car, and that means out gets Chris Froggatt, and it will get now Chris Buncombe. So far, so good. All tidy this, John.
Yes, looks pretty good. It's more a matter of whether Chris Buncombe can get the foot box adjusted. There is an adjustable foot box rather than having an adjustable seat. So here is Denmark making progress. It's overtaken the Russian car. Wait. He's being held. Can't release there. The Ferrari UK has been released. So where will be what is currently the race leader? Would it be Turkey would be the technical race leader until this car? Oh, the gap is going to have a very, very comfortable lead indeed, although it's a long way down the pit lane. The UK garage is in the early part of the pit lane. So the Mercedes, Turkey, will they find themselves? Let's get the head-on view. There it is. So it's going to be, wow, comfortable if ever I saw it.
But Turkey is already in a stint. Guven has had a lap. He knows what the car is like on the track. Chris Buncombe's going to get himself up to speed. Fastest lap of the race done by Turkey. And then behind, Nicholas Nielsen, having got ahead for Denmark of Russia, is also lapping rapidly. Russia fourth now, and a big gap back to who is going to be fifth. That'll be Hong Kong. Now this is the leader, Chris Buncombe for the UK. A delighted Chris Froggatt. He's had a very impressive weekend. Handshakes all round, but he can do no more now for 25 minutes than sit and watch and bite his nails. Chris Buncombe, he's won his class at Le Mans. Can he win the FIA GT Nations Cup for the UK? The Italian team, AF Corsa, operating that car as it comes now down towards turn 8.
Yeah, but the beauty for Chris Buncombe is, okay, he's back into a car. He's not been behind the wheel for about 3 hours. So this is the pass between Russia and Denmark up the hill out of turn 8. Again, it's all about position. It's a bit like property, isn't it? Just you plant your car on the bit of the racetrack, and once you've done that, you can take control away from the opposition.
So Turkey, having done the fastest lap of the race, now hunting down the UK. So at the end of this next lap, we'll see what the gap really is by way of a time when they come over the timing line that is there at the top end of the pit straight. Now this is Mexico, which remember had a puncture and is therefore a lap down. This is the UK. All going well. Chris Buncombe leads the way, and he can control the pace from here on, and it doesn't matter whether he wins by a tenth or 10 seconds or a minute, as long as he wins. So it's about keeping position and not making mistakes.
Yeah, and again, going back to the fact that he's leading the race, he's got nobody ahead of him to concern himself. There you see the second place cars just coming out of turn 13. So what will the gap be when they come across the start-finish line? It was up to 9 or so seconds before the second and third place cars peeled off to make that slightly earlier pit stop than the UK. I suspect it's going to be somewhere around the 8 to 9 second.
There's the Mercedes in the background.
So that's
15.
That's 106 seconds. 6 seconds.
Timing screen says 8.1. Yeah. So that is what now Turkey has got to try to bring down. On that lap, it was quicker in sector 2, quicker in sector 3. I think the gap is going to come down, and with 23.5 minutes to go, the UK is not necessarily a shoe-in for a win. 8 seconds is not the biggest of margins with that amount of time to go.
No, but once the replacement driver has taken the seat and can get dialed in as quickly as possible and make sure in the process not making any errors. So I've got all my faith in Christopher Buncombe that he will deliver for Team UK, no matter what Turkey and the Nation Government can do, because although he's just done the fastest first sector time in the second place Turkey Mercedes, now Nicholas Nielsen has done the fastest sector time in the third place Ferrari. So they are pursuing relentlessly, but you've got control. There's nobody ahead of you. You can focus on what you need to do. You can, with 22 minutes of this race remaining, you can basically time yourself down to the checkered flag.
Now, Argentina is being investigated for track limits. Lap 1, turn 8 incident for Argentina, a 5-second time penalty. That was against Germany, if you remember, all that time ago. So, yeah, the kerfuffle of many, many minutes ago. And so, Argentina will get a 5-second penalty added at the end of the race. We need to bear that in mind when they come across the line. Denmark, absolute best in sector 1 now, running in 3rd place, Denmark, and going quicker than the cars ahead within the 1st sector.
So here we get a true indication, but we will very shortly, because the UK Ferrari just coming out of turn 13. Again, that roller coaster down into turn 14. There's the 2nd place, Turkey, Mercedes, and they are focused. The gap was 8.1 seconds. Where will the gap be? Hard to judge it. We're trying to judge speed over distance.
Look at
a long wide range camera lens.
Look at the sectors. Sector 1, Turkey 3/10 quicker. Sector 2, over a full second quicker. And that's in just a third of the lap. So 6.3 down from over 8 seconds.
Yep, that's a lot of time to take out in the opening lap. So Christopher Buncombe, we saw how outstanding he was when he came from the back in the qualifying rounds. Now under big threat indeed. The Mercedes did not come alive in the early part of this race. Suddenly now, whether it's because of the driver change or whether it's because they've managed to find the car that is principally getting the tyre to work in the right temperature zone, but that by far and away is the quickest car on the racetrack.
Argentina under investigation for a pit lane infringement. There, Argentina goes ahead of Italy. That's back up into 7th place. Argentina versus Italy, 7th and 8th. So a 5-second time penalty for the Lamborghini of Argentina for an incident, and now it's being investigated for a pit lane infringement as well, and this is all getting a bit physical, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see the, again, side by side. I mean, I pay you back. If you're going to play that game, I'll play it myself. I don't want to see this kind of aggressive, physical racing taking place. You can see there coming down into turn 1, just Ferrari leaning on the Lamborghini. That's maybe why we got payback on the exit. We caught the original, the secondary incident just coming out of turn 3. But then it got mad, and there again, the 2 cars from the Far East, China on the inside, Hong Kong on the outside, and they're going to get together.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all one nation, Hong Kong and China. What are they fighting over?
Well, that's a change for 5th place. China going ahead. Liu Yi at the wheel. Another one under investigation for speeding in the pit lane is Mexico, which has had a pretty torrid race. Martin Fuentes at the wheel. So as 9-10 there, now Yi Hongli, or Liu Yi, powers his way clear of Hong Kong. That's Andy Yan at the wheel of the Nissan for Hong Kong. China looking good. Another car that's got stronger and stronger as the weekend has gone through. The lead gap then is 6 seconds, and the gap is down by 3/10 in sector 1. It's down by 6/10 in sector 2. Chris Buncombe is being caught quite markedly.
Surprisingly, I have to say I didn't expect to see this. We saw a great stint from Chris Froggatt, and for some reason Christopher Buncombe has not managed to down to 5.3 seconds, as you pointed out, David. That's a lot of time, over 3 seconds in the space of just over 2 laps.
And 20 minutes to go. So even if Turkey catches the UK, can the UK defend for the remaining time? There, over the timing line now goes Andy Yan, who is in 6th place in the Hong Kong entry. 7th over the timing line is now Argentina. 8th is Italy, which has been a bit disappointing, really, after the problems in qualifying race 2. At 9th should be Malaysia, and 10th after the drive-through is France. But as far as the lead gap is concerned, it's coming down and down and down. And Chris Buncombe, I know I said he only has to win by a 10th of a second, but he might like a greater cushion. So can he dig deep and up his pace? No! Another 3/10 taken out in the first sector of this lap alone.
David, you say he might only win, he might only need to win by a 10th of a second. The way things are going, he might lose by only a 10th of a second.
True. Yep. So Chris Buncombe at the moment is being caught by the Mercedes. The message will get through, and let's see whether he can up his pace a little bit. So Chris Buncombe, who is 2-3 laps less into the stint compared to Ayrton Guven, possibly still getting happy, but he does, as I say, need to try and up the pace if he can. Russia now, Denis Bulatov has done a personal best lap, but is not catching Denmark because Nicholas Nielsen is getting away. Nicholas Nielsen is not catching Turkey, however, so at the moment Turkey is the real threat to the UK for a win. That's Malaysia, and Mitchell Chia is at the wheel in 9th place in the Alex operated Audi R8.
And still, the Turkey Mercedes-Benz catching in each sector, taking some big chunks out of the advantage of the lead United Kingdom Ferrari.
So there is Jim Clark, that's France, 10th. So a pit stop and a drive-through, remember, so that's why they have been delayed. And a drive-through penalty is coming to Mexico for speeding in the pit lane. The car is a lap adrift anyway, as there are the leaders, and it's down from 5.3 to 3.8 seconds. Turkey, fastest lap of the race now. The UK is not only being caught, it is being caught very rapidly by Turkey, and with over 17 minutes to go, Turkey looks like it's going to get the win.
It's certainly looking like that, and there you can see on the faces of the, of course, the team there is great concern. They probably are unable to understand why the pace of the car in the first phase of this race just allowed it to draw away, and in fact it was the Turkey Mercedes was the one that was really struggling to maintain position. Now it's the reverse, and we're seeing great drive indeed in these last few laps, fastest lap after fastest lap, and down into turn 8. Car looking almost in a different car than that we saw in the first phase.
Well, you can say that about both, can't you, really?
Yeah.
For better and worse reasons. Maybe Chris Wragge was flattered a little bit by all the battling going on behind, delaying everybody, allowing him to pull away, but even so, there are some rather worried Buncombe faces, Alex and Jonathan.
Yeah, you can see the blow of the cheeks of Alex. There's something that they know that they're getting caught very rapidly indeed. It's not just by the lap, it's by every sector around this racetrack, taking 3-4 tenths out of each sector, not just out of a lap.
Now, there, Mexico getting involved with Argentina, which, don't forget, Mexico is a lap down. Demolishing the track marker bollards is Italy. Argentina is out wide and back on again.
Yeah, this is more like watching e-racing.
Well, the Mexico car, remember, is on a different lap, and it's getting in the way of cars. He shouldn't be racing against them, he should be letting them by, shouldn't it?
Well, in theory you should do. If you're getting a wave blue flag, you're obliged to get out of the way, but sometimes some drivers, and there we go again.
So Italy goes through, Argentina goes through, and Martin Fuentes now dropped back. Just going back to the UK car, it's tempting to say there is a problem with the car. I don't believe it's just Chris Buncombe not being quick enough. What do you think?
Well, there is obviously an issue because the lap times are not there.
A second and a half is the margin. Chris Buncombe ran wide at turn 14. Is it purely tyres?
Well, when the car was handed over, we didn't get any indication from the pace of Chris Wragge that there was an issue with tyres, but certainly what Chris Buncombe has been unable to do is really do what we anticipated, which is consolidate the lead, maybe even pull away. But the charging Mercedes in second place has just run down, it's hunted down mercilessly the Ferrari that's been in the lead of this race for pretty much all of the race.
That's Mexico serving the drive-through penalty. Martin Fuentes then, who was busy defending fruitlessly, because he's a lap down and had this drive-through anyway. But it's not going to be long before Turkey takes over the race lead, and poor old Chris Buncombe is now really a sitting duck, isn't he? Because there's just nothing he can do. You can see the way that the gap is dropping and dropping corner by corner. Yellow flag up the road. Now, is that because that bollard is on the racing line, or is it something more serious than that? Let's have a look as the cars swoop down through turn 9 into turn 10. I think it may have been just for the bollard that's now been blown out of harm's way.
Yeah.
France in. This is a problem for France. This is not a scheduled stop.
No, Jim Plough brings the car in. The car goes up on the jacks. Looks like something at the right front, whether it's damage to the aero on the car or whether it's something on that right front suspension. So that car is up on the jacks. It hasn't been pushed back into the garage, which is a good sign. If it was going back to the garage, that would be pretty much all over for France.
Turkey is on the verge of winning this, I think, and the fans with the flags are getting ever more confident of save. There, running wide up the curve, is Untitled, who knows he's almost there now. He's getting closer and closer and closer, and the lead is about to change. Shake of the head from Chris Wragge to say, don't know, nothing we can do. And so, as they come now down once again towards turn 14, nose to tail pretty much, and Chris Buncombe, I fear, is not going to lead at the end of this straight. Again, he goes a little bit wide. I think he's just struggling for grip, isn't he? Because the car's not responsive enough.
Absolutely, the level of grip is not there, and that's the reason why the Mercedes has been able to catch so efficiently. And it is going to be right on the tail. It's just 0.6 of a second as they come across the line at the end of lap 20. We've got 13 minutes remaining, and it's now just a matter of not if, but when, and more likely whereabouts in the racetrack. You can see the Turkey Mercedes swoop by the UK Ferrari.
Untitled could almost bide his time, such is the pace that the car has got. Chris Buncombe is good, but is he good enough to defend for another 13 minutes? As there, down towards turn 4, they close up once again. The Turkey Mercedes on the tail of the UK Ferrari. Out of the right-hander, Chris Buncombe again is wide. In fairness, if this is all about grip, this is a very unpleasant car to be driving, and he's got to tiptoe through sections like this where you're changing direction left and right The Mercedes hauling him in. The change is imminent for the race lead. It's UK versus Turkey. Guven is going to try and line him up to have a go coming out of turn 8, and he's got the drive out of the corner. Chris Buncombe tries to fend him off. Over the brow they come. They're almost side by side. The move is going to come. Is it on the inside down towards turn 10? Here it comes. Turkey has a look. The UK closes the door. But now the drive out of the corner. Ferrari stays ahead of Mercedes. The UK ahead of Turkey, but for how much longer?
Well, not very much longer, unless something miraculous can happen for Chris Buncombe, because he's got a much quicker car behind him. The issue is, where will the Mercedes make the pass without making contact, which would then probably put both drivers out of position and could put both or one of them out of the race.
So Chris Buncombe hanging on to the advantage. Nervous faces in both teams' camps. And now Guven dives to the inside line. Turkey leads the FIA GT Nations Cup. Goes a little bit wide coming out of the corner. Did he get away with it?
Yes, he did. That was a well planned. He was quicker out of turn 12 and just used the momentum to swoop down into the apex. Got under the Ferrari, took away control of the corner. Chris Buncombe trying to come back to do all that he can do. I mean, he's been sitting in a car which has not been delivering the pace that we saw earlier in the race there. The faces, you might say disappointment, but look, you know, they didn't know when they were going to come here. They were going to be challenging for victory with just 11 minutes of this race remaining.
True enough, so over the line they go. Chris Buncombe is going to try to fight back if he can, see if he can apply the pressure to Turkey. Guven is at the helm of the Turkish car. For the UK, it's Chris Buncombe. And as they wriggle their way out of turns 2 and 3, can anything be done for that Ferrari to find a way back through? The third spot, it is still Nicholas Nielsen for Denmark. The AF Corsa engineers are on the radio. There are nervous faces at Ram Racing. The British team operates the Turkey entry in all of this. 10 minutes and change on the clock, and the gap is widening now, isn't it? And the nervous faces are becoming happy faces, because they know that for Turkey, the win is now looking a lot more serious. Look at the way that gap has widened in the space of 2 corners.
Yeah, I mean, just simply the Mercedes has got more grip, and that allows the car to be driven more aggressively, to use more of the racetrack. Christopher Buncombe, you can see coming out of turn 8, he's got little grip at the rear. It's the traction, it's the lack of rear end grip, the degradation that we've been made aware of all through this weekend. The car slides wide coming out of turn 9 into turn 10, and they're a very happy looking seller. Jonaki thinks that this is his victory, and he's beyond the podium. Still a lot to do, and don't forget behind you've got the 3rd place Denmark, Nicholas Nielsen, slowly edging his way forward. He's been lapping quickly while these two have been battling for the lead. He's been doing some very good work, but now Turkey has broken the pace of Great Britain, or United Kingdom in this instance, and is pulling away, and it will be not very long where I suspect we're going to see Denmark, which is currently 5.1 seconds behind the UK. That gap is going to be down to somewhere near like 3.5 seconds or so at the end of lap 22.
Go along with that, certainly now, because the cars come down into turn 14. The Danish Ferrari has been lapping quicker than the UK Ferrari, so there could be another place to be gained before the very end for Nicholas Nielsen for Denmark as they come up now towards the line. But for Turkey, Guven leads the way and is already clear by 2.1 seconds. 9 minutes of the FIA GT Nations Cup remain. It is Turkey, UK, Denmark, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, Russia, 5th, China, 6th, Hong Kong. And then you've got Argentina and Italy right there behind. So up towards the line, this is your fight for 6th place. Andy Yan for Hong Kong versus Ezequiel Perez Companc, Argentina, Matteo Cristoni for Italy.
Which position of these 3 cars would you prefer to be in if you're behind the wheel? One thing I know is being in the middle is not going to be the most comfortable place.
That is for sure. Down they come then, into the braking zone for turn 1. Oh, so nearly contact, but Andy Yan in the Nissan stays ahead. Ezequiel Perez Companc tries to dive out on the outside out of turn 2 into turn 3. Can he do it? Gets the drag up towards the next right-hander. Andy Yan goes defensive. Hong Kong fending off Argentina. Italy looking to pick up the pieces as they get to the braking zone. Is there going to be a change? Argentina tries the outside. Hong Kong gets all crossed up. Argentina's going to get run out wide and goes through, but he went off the circuit to do it.
Certainly got 2 wheels off the track, and now the Ferrari Italy is trying to slide through as well. But Hong Kong has not given up in that position, because Argentina did have to make some compromises. Watch the Italian entry for the Ferrari. Again, there's the undercut coming out of turn 8 where you can do the work. The Ferrari's got the grip, has got the position alongside, but on the outside coming up into turn 9. This time, now watch again, dive down the inside. Can he make it stick? He's going to have a look at it. Didn't quite have the commitment or the confidence to make it stick. He could have done it, but I think he was maybe a little bit uncertain if it was going to work and actually make it stick.
So Argentina, don't forget, has a 5-second time penalty at the end of the race. Now gaining ground over Hong Kong. Italy still stuck there. Still surprised the Italian entry's pace hasn't been better. It looked good in qualifying race 1, problems in race 2, and it's been a bit undercooked in this final as well. So a bit curious, all of that. Hong Kong has been one of the surprises of the weekend, though.
I just wonder if one Ferrari is suffering from rear end tire degradation or grip, is it affecting the entire family that are here this weekend?
Well, maybe it was the Denmark car, different team operating it, but going.
Well, it's running strongly.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's running right now. It's lap time. Well, it's running just under half a second a lap quicker than the second place United Kingdom car. There's the third place car coming into view.
Argentina drive-through penalty, track limit, overtaking off track.
It's well spotted, Dave. Have got 2 wheels off. Didn't know whether it was more than that. Clearly, the stewards were able to see other images, and they have decided that Argentina, how many drive-throughs have they had this race? I mean,
well, they've been investigated for most things, but it's interesting that because
it was at this part of the track where they ended up.
I was going to say Argentina given a drive-through, whereas in an earlier GT4 race, different race director, admittedly, instead of a drive-through, they were just told to give back the place.
Yes, different rules.
So that's Johnny Larson for Denmark looking on, and there for the UK, Chris Buncombe dropping into the clutches now of the Danish car. That's Nicholas Nielsen hustling on, another Ferrari Challenge champion, and as it turns into the left-hand from turn 10, Nicholas Nielsen is on the power, accelerates along that short straight. He's trying to make up 3 seconds and is lapping quicker.
Yeah, the Danish Ferrari, you can see, has got better balance, better grip coming out of turn 10. The lead that the Turkey Mercedes has got, the pace that it appeared to have, okay, 3 seconds is still an advantage as we go back to this battle between Italy runs wide and the Hong Kong Nissan swoops through, and that of course was a lap car letting a leading
Now that had been a change. Italy got past Hong Kong and has now lost the place back again. So
they just had their drive-through.
Christoni just managed to get through then. So going wide at turn 10, he's lost that, and so he's going to fight back. Coming up to turn 11, Italy versus Hong Kong. Through he goes. Right, job done this time. Matteo Christoni goes through, and this time tries to cement 7th place for Italy over Hong Kong. So Mexico had a drive-through and fallen a long way back. We've also lost France and Sweden from the race, and Giuseppe Perezzini in the AF Corsa garage looks on, seeing his car having gained 1 spot.
I don't know whether there was traffic or whatever, but for the first time in a very long time in this race, now second place United Kingdom Ferrari was actually quicker on that last lap than the lead Mercedes was.
That's true enough, yes, fractionally so.
Don't know why, it's rather strange, maybe because there's a bit of a hurry up from behind, with Denmark running down. Denmark now just 2.5 seconds behind the second place United Kingdom Ferrari.
So let's see what the next lap brings, whether the Mercedes tyres are going off. End of sector 1 for the 2, and no, it's again Mercedes faster. We've got the 18 Lamborghini of Argentina serving its drive-through penalty. So again, sector 1, the lead gap is extended. Now this is why the drive-through has come for Argentina. Have a look at how he goes around the outside to gain the place, John.
Yeah, no, he runs very wide in the exit of turn 4. There is why, because he's got all 4 wheels over on the left-hand side of that red and white demarcation curbing, so that was the reason why it was. You got that particular view rather than the head-on shot, which was the next shot. You could see it more clearly there.
Well, the Argentine entry has been in the wars in every race, whether it's been incident
Wrong
or
analogy,
penalties.
wrong analogy, David.
So that car still going, but in the snakes and ladders weekend it's had, it's been up and now it's fallen back down the order once again. There, Denmark inching up onto the back of the UK car, and possibly delayed in traffic has been the UK because the gap has come down even further. It is behind the wheel, Tommaso Kondo for Japan, and now Nicholas Nielsen being a little bit delayed there, going out of turn 13. A flash of the lights to Japan to say, come on, I'm quicker, get out of the way. And the Japanese car just gradually edges a little bit towards the centre of the road. So Nielsen now has to commit on the inside at turn 14 and he goes through.
Yeah, not only did he lose time when he got caught just coming to turn 13, but that allowed, and it was a clever bit of what you would call gamesmanship by the UK Ferrari to manage to get ahead of the Japan Ferrari into turn 12 before the Danish car could do so. So that just adds 1/10 or 2/10 of a second to the benefit of the second place team UK, with what, 2 minutes 42 seconds, so they're going to get this lap
and one more.
And the penultimate lap we're on now.
Exactly right. And Turkey has looked so strong all weekend with a podium result in the first qualifying race, and a victory is heading their way both out of the second qualifying race and the main race to win the Nations Cup itself. So second, first, great consistency over the course of the weekend. Still intriguing to know why the car took so long after the safety car period to wake up again.
I don't know. I mean, it's very hard to understand, other than maybe not being able to get the tyres up to temperature, or maybe picked up something by running offline somewhere, which he found difficult to get the tyre to clear. But certainly it was a grip-related issue. But what the precise reason was, well, we'll find that out no doubt when Bruce talks to both drivers and get an explanation. But what is clear, that since the driver changed, this car has been transformed. You know, sometimes driving styles, if you can put energy into the car and force the tyre to go through that period where it maybe not delivering for you, but get to the working zone, maybe it's as simple as that.
Nicholas Nielsen for Denmark, still catching the UK car. Chris Buncombe at the wheel of it as they turn through turn 13 now. Set to blast down towards the last corner on the lap and get onto the last lap of the race. And the faces of the Buncombe family aren't exactly those of joy, but they are at least settling now, perhaps for second position, because there's just about enough in hand to hang on to that. But I think it's down to tyre wear. Poor old Chris Buncombe has battled valiantly. Maybe a little bit more was taken out of the tyres early on when Chris Wragge was pushing on. We'll find out post-race, no doubt. We're on the last lap of the FIA GT Nations Cup. Turkey, UK, Denmark, the top three.
Yes, I think Chris Buncombe will be very quick to say that I didn't have any grip. The rear of the car, there was no traction, it was a difficult car, I was having snappy oversteer, the kind of things that really a racing driver doesn't like to have. And if you've got it, you can't bully it, you've just got to accept it and try and baby it as best you possibly can. Chris Buncombe for Team UK has done the best he can. He's got his car in second place. He's going to have a challenge, albeit on the last lap of this race, where the Denmark can close in sufficiently. There we can see the Turkish flag being readied. And, well, I've had races where on the last lap that needs being taken away from you for a variety of reasons. But I think that's highly unlikely now as we're halfway around the last lap of this race.
Arjen Guven and Salih Uluk have both stepped up to the mark this weekend, haven't they, for Turkey? And as GT racers themselves, and everybody sits up and takes notice now of Turkey and the achievement, and fair play to the British Ram Racing squad that has operated this car, having of course looked after Aston Martins in races in Europe, adapting to the Mercedes for this weekend and doing a very good job indeed. So success all round for drivers and for team and for Turkey, which is set to win the FIA GT Nations Cup. The UK is still second, and it is Denmark third after a weekend that's come back to them. But no matter what the race, the car has kept out of trouble. It has barely missed a beat. It's been very well driven, very well run, and Turkey is going to be a deserving winning nation in this first ever running of the FIA GT Nations Cup. There is one more corner to go. The clock has hit zero, the flag is ready, and under the floodlights in Bahrain, a new event is won by an emerging motorsport nation. Turkey will win the FIA GT Nations Cup. Across the line comes the Turkish entry, the Mercedes of Arjen Guven and Salih Uluk, and the FIA GT Nations Cup is won by Turkey. Second is the UK, and third is Denmark.
Well, who would have predicted the outcome of this race? I mean, there were so many ifs, ands, or buts. So many people would have thought they were in with a chance. Going back to the start of the race, where the Belgium Audi got punted off, and that caused all sorts of mayhem. But, I mean, an outstanding drive and effort by the entire Turkey team. And I wonder, you know, there's a great racetrack in Turkey, which is probably very much underused. Maybe sometime in the future, as a consequence of Turkey's victory here this evening, there could be a visit down to that racetrack. And think of that triple left-hand corner. Wow, what would a GT3 car look like through that?
That'd be quite special, would it not? Behind the top three, Russia fourth, China fifth, Italy sixth, Hong Kong seventh, Malaysia eighth, and ninth, plus a 5-second penalty, is going to be Argentina from Thailand. And as the fireworks add to the lights in the sky, the celebrations are underway for the Turkish team. And Arjen Guven, who you might say, well, his track record has been coming up to this weekend. Turkish karting, came into car racing only in 2017, but he won the Vallelunga 6 Hours. He's raced in Carrera Cup Benelux, fourth with 4 wins. He was fourth in his class in the Le Mans Support Race in 2017. This year he's been racing in Carrera Cup Germany, but it's a new mount and of course a different discipline of driving on a weekend basis like this with a new co-driver, even though they're Turkish, a pair of them. Racing together is a novelty, and Ayşen Güven has done an excellent job.
I think he's really put himself onto the GT3 world map. I mean, as has this man, but certainly Ayşen Güven is, to me, of the two drivers, he's the more experienced of the two, and I mean, both have been almost real perfect. I can't think of any area where, other than maybe in the early phase of this race, where there was a little bit of aggression going on from the Turkish Mercedes on the UK Ferrari down into turn 8. But the car probably hasn't even got a scratch on it.
No, indeed, it's just been faultless, hasn't it? Excellent job done. There is then the Turkey car, the Mercedes. This is quite a firework display going off, isn't it? I mean, this has been going on for a while now.
David, wait until the fireworks really go off.
A great spectacle. Bahrain has been a great host for this event.
Well, it's been a great host of world motorsport, and we've got GT3 here this weekend. Other motorsport events have taken place here, but this has been, I think, a huge success and an inaugural event. And I can only see it actually growing, because there is a great deal to be representing your nation and to win for your nation.
How long before we have a Bahraini team in the FIA GT Nations Cup, I wonder? Well,
we need a couple of drivers first.
Well,
of all.
exactly, but I mean, there is that national scene. That's what I'm saying. Give it time. You know, this is a country that really had nothing in terms of motorsport until, what, 15 years ago, and it's building and it's building and it's building, and there's a passion for these cars in this area, so it won't be long, surely, before we do have Bahraini drivers. We've got from the UAE and elsewhere, but not yet Bahrainis.
Within the region, there are 3 outstanding racetracks.
Quite. So, applause for the Turkish victors as they're a very proud Salih Olaf goes over to greet Ayşen Güven, who is dragged out of the car, and the celebration's underway. He's not yet disconnected, but whoops.
Get the radio connection disconnected, otherwise you'll be pulled back into the seat of the car, but there you can see the real joy. Salih Olaf really, I mean, how pleased are these two guys?
Absolutely. That's the only mistake they've made all weekend, isn't it? The Parc Fermé barriers put around the cars. The fireworks are still going, and we'll hear in a moment from the 2 winners. There, hands device off, Ayşen Güven. Well done, caught, passed, pulled away from Chris Buncombe. But the winners of the FIA GT Nations Cup, Turkey, the drivers are with Bruce Jones.
Congratulations, the victors in the first FIA GT Nations Cup. Team Turkey, how good does that sound, Salih Olaf?
Yeah, really. I'm literally out of words. Like, he drove an amazing stint. He brought us the win. I'm so proud of him. I'm so thankful for this.
Don't undersell yourself, Salih. You had some great racing in your stint.
Yeah, thank you. But like, obviously, he did an amazing job overtaking the 2 cars in front. That's what got us the victory.
Now, Ayşen, I'm not sure you're going to be invited back. This is your first time in GT3, and you're on the top step.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, the race was tough in the beginning. There was a really big crash and really difficult first lap for Salih, and he managed the lead. Then after, the Great Britain is really fast in that part of the race. But I think still we are quite close to them after the pit, and then also I got tires. I think they are there when I start to push, and I know it's not easy, but I just try to push 100%, and I'm sure that I'm pushed to my 100% without mistake, because I know if I get a mistake, he can go front and he feel better. When I go catch him faster, he also start to make mistakes. Yeah, at the end, we had the win. It's really good weekend for us. Salih don't make any mistake. Same for me. Team make excellent job. No mistake for all weekend. So yeah, it's for winning. You need to do everything well together, and this week we do it together. Also, I want to thank my country for special support this weekend, or with message with their support. I think it's one of the best at the moment, the best supporter country at the moment in this championship. So also I'm really happy we give them what they deserve.
Wear the flag with pride. Well done, you two.
Turkey, winners of the FIA GT Nations Cup. And looking down onto the pit straight, that was where the whole complexion of the race changed an hour ago.
Well, what a surprise. Turn 1, always drama in turn 1.
Indeed so. Right, so the UK silver medal. What happened to the tyres for Chris Buncombe? Bruce is set to find out.
Chris Froggatt and Chris Buncombe, is it a case what might have been for United Kingdom? You led away in the early stint of the race, but at the end, we'll come to you in a moment, Chris. Not quite enough left, but a fantastic start.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think for us it was the safety car that messed up the start and the ability to sort of run away a bit. But I did my best in the stint and handed the car over to Chris, who did a fantastic job to hold Turkey off as long as he could, and we were really pleased with the result.
Very, very great stint from you, Chris Froggatt. Chris Buncombe too. I think you might have been overtaken by the new star of GT3 racing in Arjen Shanguven.
Yeah, I didn't have any answer for him. It was great pace. I mean, I struggled in the first half of the stint, to be honest. Just didn't really like the balance where the car was, and strangely, as tyre degradation came in, I started to feel a bit happy with the car. So, yeah, frustrating. The win was kind of in sight, but I think come here, it's been a fantastic event to come away with the podium. Yeah, we can't really ask for more.
And it was good to see after struggling in the pit stops in the first 2 races, you seemed to nail it third time round.
Yeah, it helped this time having the pedal box in my setting rather than Chris's, because that was a bit of a stretch earlier. But no, the pit stop was bang on this time.
Well done, United Kingdom. Second place, not to be sniffed at.
You can tell the disappointment, though, can't you? I mean,
sure.
The win was there for the taking. And the balance of the car, they've raced it twice over the weekend. You get in for a third time and the balance is all different. What causes that?
Well, it is to do with the tyre condition when the car was handed over. We saw Chris Buncombe having a very good run and basically being able to pull away. Okay, maybe behind there was a car holding those others behind, but that's motor racing. And when you get in the car, suddenly it's a different car to the last time you sat in it. And if the emotion and the feelings are not there, it takes a very special character to be able to put that out of their mind and just continue to push and drive forward. And I mean, Chris Buncombe did all he could do, but once the Mercedes got that speed and the momentum that carried it through into the lead, there was nothing Chris Buncombe was going to be able to do to recover. He did the best he could. He finished second on the podium. I think it's a great achievement for the United Kingdom team to be within, what was it, at the end, 3.3 seconds, clearly battling a lack of grip.
Just to confirm the result, you've seen it on the screen. Turkey from the UK, from Denmark, 1, 2, 3, 4th Russia, 5th China, Italy 6th, 7th Hong Kong, Malaysia 8th, 9th Argentina, 10th Thailand, Japan 11th, Mexico 12th. They were the only finishers in the first running of the FIA GT Nations Cup. A lot of hard luck stories, but now the drivers making their way for the podium, including Johnny Lawson and Nicholas Nielsen for Denmark, who've had a good run. Laurent Godin from SRO is there in the white shirt, coordinating the podium, making sure all the drivers have the regulation caps on and making sure that the trophies are all there and the right badges are on the overalls, so in the equivalent of the green room. And the FIA officials are there as well, ready for the podium ceremony for this first ever FIA GT Nations Cup. And some excellent racing it has given us. So as soon as everybody is there and the podium can be underway, the drivers will be brought forward, as I say. But a race that has given us lots of drama. Quick look back on the best bits of the main race for the FIA GT Nations Cup. The cars blasted away, but the race did not last long. All of a sudden, contact in the mid-pack. The Audi of Belgium spat across the road. Mayhem thankfully avoided, but we still lost Australia with damage. Sweden suffered damage as well, and Belarus had an accident all of its own, bouncing off the barrier on the far side. So at a stroke, we lost 3 nations. The race got back underway after a long safety car period, and there was more drama. Argentina and Germany got together, and then France got into the back of Argentina. Having been run wide up the curb, the UK through into the lead of the race. That was Chris Froggatt going ahead of Sally Olaf as the cars sprinted their way down towards turn 8, and then also having a go was Russia to move up the inside. Thailand tagged Italy, turned the Ferrari around and got a drive-through penalty for the pains. That was the move that put the UK into the lead. It was an aggressive defence by Sally Olaf, but through to gain the advantage, Chris Froggatt. Then he pulled away, stayed out a couple of extra laps before he gave the car to Chris Buncombe. In the meantime, Nicholas Nielsen was moving himself into contention for Denmark, getting up ahead of Denis Bulatov for Russia. A long stint for Froggatt, put into the car. Buncombe, it was all smiles because they were leading the race and stayed ahead after the pit stops, but those smiles would soon disappear. The UK being caught by Turkey as Argentina battled with Italy. The gap between the leaders was coming down and down and down. Turkey hauling in. The UK entry inexorably getting closer, and the Buncombes were looking worried in the pit lane as Chris B was being caught. Arjen then bringing down that gap, and he made the dive at turn 13, through on the inside line, and once ahead started to pull away. The Ram Racing team, the Turkish fans and family all delighted. The flags flew as the gap extended. Denmark then hustled on to try to catch for second spot, but the lead gap was being built all the while. Up front, Arjen just had to bring the car safely through to the finish, and that he did. At the end of 27 laps, the checkered flag flew and the Turkish flags flew, and the fireworks lit up the sky. The battle in the desert for GT3 cars, the battle of the nations, won by Turkey here in Bahrain. The FIA GT Nations Cup in its very first running, won by Turkey. And so the medals are there, the drivers are set to be called forward. In reverse order, the third place nation then for the bronze medal is Denmark. Nicholas Nielsen and Johnny Lawson make their way onto the third step of the podium. A great result, bearing in mind they didn't even get a lap in the first race. For second place, the silver medals to the United Kingdom. Chris Froggatt and Chris Buncombe make their way out onto the podium. The first time they've raced together, of course, and Chris Froggatt new to GT3 technology. But the heroes of the weekend, Turkey wins the FIA GT Nations Cup. Salih Yoluk and Arjen make their way onto the top step of the podium. A great weekend of GT racing is won by Turkey. And so two very proud, very happy drivers stand on the top step of the podium.
Are presented by
for Turkey,
Mr.
Arjen and Salih Yoluk. But now the medals to be presented, and the bronze medals will go to the Danish drivers.
Johnny Lawson and Nicholas
Nielsen and Johnny Lawson receive the medals from Mr. Arif Rahimi, the chairman of the board of the Bahrain International Circuit, that's been a great host to the FIA GT Nations Cup this weekend. Well done, Denmark, for third place. Handshakes to the winners, handshakes to the runners-up as well. The United Kingdom then led the race, but ends up as second, and hence the silver medals are to be presented to Chris Froggatt and to Chris Buncombe from Mr. Ibrahim Talib, the Deputy Chief Executive of BAPCO. Chris B gets his, and Chris F receives his now. The medals for second place, the silver medals to the United Kingdom, Chris Buncombe and Chris Froggatt. And then to the winners of this first ever FIA GT Nations Cup. Handshakes to all of the drivers, but the bronze medals, the silver medals done. Now it's time for the gold medals. And His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin Sultan, the chairman of Saudi Arabia Motor Federation, hands over the gold medals to Arjen and Salih Yoluk, the winners of the FIA GT Nations Cup for Turkey. Very proud drivers, and Turkey, an emerging motorsport nation perhaps, but two drivers that really have set out their stall as talented GT3 drivers in this Pro-Am competition this weekend. Everybody gets together on the top step for the photographs. Lots of applause for the family, fans, teams down below in the pit lane. And now the celebrations can get underway. On the podium, in time-honoured fashion, the Turkish drivers saturate one another, and then anybody else that happens to be standing around at the end of an excellent weekend of racing. Turkey, the United Kingdom and Denmark, the top three nations in this first ever FIA GT Nations Cup. It has given us a great weekend of racing at the end of a great season of GT racing internationally. Drivers make their way from the podium, and we say farewell from Bahrain. From Bruce Jones, John Watson and David Addison, it's goodbye at the end of a great weekend of racing, and there'll be more of the same in 2019.